All right, let's dive deep into Kwame Mbalia's Tristan Strong trilogy. We're going to be focusing on the first 2 books today.
Sounds good.
And we're going to navigate this vibrant world of Alk.
Okay.
And really try to uncover how Tristan rises to the challenge of facing like some truly terrifying threats.
Yeah, the way Mbalia just blends like reality and fantasy, you know, he's pulling from this like deep well of Black folklore.
Right.
It's really captivating, like how he explores this cultural heritage and what it means to, you know, to be a hero.
Yeah, and I think that exploration really starts with Tristan Strong himself.
Totally.
You know, this 12-year-old boxer from Chicago. He gets pulled into Alke while he's dealing with this loss of his best friend, Eddie.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot for anyone to handle.
Oh, absolutely. Especially a kid, right?
Especially a kid, yeah.
Like this forced journey into Alke, it's not just a change of scenery. It's like where Tristan's destiny unfolds as he's chosen to become this Anansesum, a seeker and teller of stories.
Right.
But he's, you know, burdened by grief. So initially he kind of resists this like immense responsibility.
Okay, so Alke itself is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
The city with sapphire streams.
And the plant houses, they're just like bursting with life.
Yeah, and it's all under this giant emerald dome.
It was beautiful.
It's like a visual feast for the imagination.
It really is. It's more than just a pretty setting, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Alk is actually powered by, you know, these Black folk tales and mythology.
Right.
It, like, embodies the spirit of those stories, you know?
Yeah.
Which makes it feel so, so alive and unique.
Yeah, but this idyllic world faces a serious threat, right?
Yeah.
King Cotton.
Yeah, King Pot.
He's not just some fluffy annoyance.
Yeah.
This, you know, an evil spirit is obsessed with controlling narratives.
Yeah, that's chilling, right?
It's very chilling.
It's a fascinating choice for an antagonist.
Yeah.
You know, his desire to control the narratives speaks to the power of stories.
Like whoever shapes that narrative controls history.
Right.
Controls perception, controls the future.
Yeah.
You know, in a way, he like embodies this erasure of like Black voices and stories throughout history.
He's got these terrifying minions too.
Oh, yeah.
The Coffles made of chains, and then the Breakers who steal spirits.
Right.
His plan to consume the spirits of Alk and dominate both worlds is seriously scary stuff.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And his methods are equally disturbing. Like the Coffles, for example.
Yeah.
They evoke like this imagery of enslavement and, you know, the chains that bound people, which, you know, kind of reinforces this idea that Cotton represents a force that, you know, seeks to control and exploit others.
Right.
Particularly, you know, those whose stories have been historically marginalized.
Okay, so we've got Tristan, who's still grappling with loss. Right. Suddenly thrown into this extraordinary world with like a world-ending threat looming large.
Huge stakes.
What stood out to you about Tristan's response to this?
Well, like his journey, it's a classic hero's tale.
Right.
But it's infused with this power of stories and memory initially, you know? He's overwhelmed, battling grief, guilt, anger.
Right.
He's unsure of himself and, you know, this unpredictable shadow magic that he wields. Thanks to that piece of alky embedded in his chest.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also incredibly resilient.
I'm curious about this emphasis on stories.
Yeah.
It appears everywhere in Alk.
Right.
Even Tristan's role as an Anantessum is tied to storytelling.
Exactly.
What's the significance of that?
Well, the books are constantly like reminding us that stories hold immense power.
Okay.
And Alk, they're not just entertainment, they're like a life force.
Right.
They preserve history, pass down wisdom, and connect people to their ancestors.
Yeah.
We see this through, you know, the preserved spirit of High John the Conqueror, a figure of like resistance and hope.
That makes Tristan's responsibility even more significant, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's not just telling stories, he's preserving a legacy.
Precisely, yeah. His role as an Anansesum isn't just about like recording stories.
Right.
It's about making sure they survive. It reminds us that remembering and sharing stories, especially like those that have been marginalized or silenced, is an act of defiance and empowerment.
But Cotton weaponizes stories too.
Yeah.
He's twisting them for his own like nefarious purposes.
He does. He does.
It's a stark reminder that stories can be used for good or for evil.
Right.
This duality makes the whole concept even more fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It highlights like the importance of critical thinking, you know?
Yeah.
We can't just passively consume stories. stories.
Right.
We need to question them, analyze their intentions, understand how they shape like our perceptions of the world.
And just when you think things can't get worse,
oh, tell me about it.
King Cotton unleashes his devastating plan, right?
Yep.
Poisoning elk and leaving it in ruins.
It's heartbreaking.
It's a gut-wrenching moment.
Yeah.
Especially for Tristan, who's already carrying so much.
So much. This destruction is like symbolic on like several levels.
Right.
It represents like the loss of cultural heritage, you know, the fragility of memory and, you know, the devastating consequences of unchecked power.
Yeah.
Anansi, the trickster god and kind of a father figure to Tristan, is especially affected.
Yeah, I bet.
He's grappling with the loss of his son, Junior.
Right.
And, you know, questioning his own role in the tragedy.
It makes you realize that even in this world of gods and magic, loss and grief are like universal experiences.
They really are.
So how does Tristan cope with this devastating blow?
Well, he finds a way to keep fighting.
Okay.
He might be reeling from the loss of elk, but he steps up to protect, you know, the Alkene refugees who are now stranded in the human world.
This is where he encounters the Rolling Thunder, right?
Exactly, yeah.
This group of skateboarding kids who have their own connection to elk.
They do. This encounter really emphasizes, like, the importance of community.
Right.
And, like, finding allies, even in the most unexpected places, right?
Yeah.
Like, despite feeling lost and powerless, Tristan connects with others who share his, you know, his determination to fight for what's right.
And then there's Patty Roller.
Oh, yeah, Patty Roller.
Who adds another layer of creepiness.
Yeah, she does.
To this whole situation. This powerful haint running a wig emporium.
Right.
Seeking to control children.
Yeah.
By teaching them a lesson.
Scary.
It's all kinds of unsettling.
It is. Her character is especially disturbing because it kind of hints at, like, the exploitation of children.
Right.
And, you know, the ways adults can, like, manipulate and abuse their power.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's also fascinating to consider her motivation.
Right. Like, is she purely evil?
Right. Is she purely evil? Is there, like, a deeper story behind her actions?
It reminds me of the Redliners.
Oh, yeah.
Humans who choose to side with Cotton. Their motives are complex.
Very complex.
And I wonder if their alliance stems from, like, fear, prejudice, or something else entirely.
That's what makes them so compelling, right?
Yeah.
They reflect, like, this nuanced reality
of
how people can be manipulated into, you know, supporting harmful ideologies, often without, like, fully understanding the consequences.
Yeah, it all culminates in this epic showdown on the shores of Lake Michigan.
Big battle.
Tristan, the Alkean gods, their allies, everyone's facing off against King Cotton and his forces.
Yep.
It's a battle for the fate of both worlds.
It really is. This confrontation is about more than just physical power, though.
Okay.
It's a battle for, like, control of the narrative. John Henry, Granny Z, and Anansi, they each bring their unique strengths to the fight, highlighting, like, the importance of collective action and, like, diverse perspectives.
And a truly satisfying moment.
Yes.
Cotton is defeated.
He is.
And his stronghold, Old Angola, is destroyed.
God.
But, as we know, victory often comes at a price.
It does.
What are your thoughts on the aftermath of this battle?
Well, the resolution isn't simple.
Okay.
While there's, like, this sense of relief, there's also this undercurrent of unease.
Yeah.
Remember, Cotton hinted at a return, suggesting he could find, like, these new sources of power and just start over.
Yeah.
It leaves us with this, like, lingering question.
Right.
Is this truly the end?
Yeah.
Or just the beginning of a new chapter in this ongoing struggle?
It's a reminder that the fight for good is rarely straightforward.
That's for sure.
There's setbacks, sacrifices, and the constant potential for things to, like, shift.
Yeah.
So, with Cotton's defeat,
Yeah.
but his threat still looming, what happens to Tristan?
Well, we'll delve into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Tristan returns to Chicago.
Right.
Facing, like, a whole new set of challenges as he continues to, you know, grow into his role as an Anansi Sim.
All right, we'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Tristan Strong.
Yes.
We left off with Alkti destroyed.
Right.
And Tristan kind of facing this, like, uncertain future back in the human world.
Right, and that's where the second book, Tristan Strong Destroys the World, picks up.
Right.
Tristan is in Chicago. He's still haunted by the loss of Alk.
Right.
Struggling to control his shadow magic, which seems to be like this physical manifestation of like all this inner turmoil.
It makes you wonder how he's even supposed to like find his footing in this new reality with all of this, emotional baggage and unpredictable power.
Well, he doesn't shy away from it. He's determined to find a way to restore Alk and rescue the missing Alkians.
Okay.
Including Anansi's son, Junior.
Right. It's a mission fueled by like guilt and responsibility, but also like a deep sense of loyalty.
For sure.
He even punches a hole in the sky.
He does!
During a sparring session with his grandfather.
Yeah.
That's not exactly subtle.
No, it's it's a powerful like visual representation of how Tristan's, internal struggles are like impacting his external reality. He's literally punching holes in the fabric of the world around him, unable to contain his grief and anger.
So how does he even begin to like deal with this level of chaos?
Well, he's guided by the spirits of High John the Conqueror and his shadow crow, Old Familiar. They help him navigate this new quest. Pushing him to confront his fears, embrace his potential.
There's that emphasis on stories again. What role do they play in Tristan's journey this time around?
Well, it goes beyond just like preserving his stories. High John guides Tristan to explore their power as a force for healing and resistance. Remember, Tristan is dealing with immense trauma. And stories become like his anchor.
And this connects back to like the real world, doesn't it?
Totally.
The way stories can help us process like difficult experiences.
Absolutely.
And like find strength when we're facing adversity.
It does.
It's like how we turn to books or movies for comfort and inspiration.
Exactly.
When we're struggling.
Mbalia shows us how stories, especially those rooted in cultural heritage, can provide like a sense of belonging, identity, and resilience.
This quest leads Tristan back to Alki.
It does.
But it's not the Alki you saw before.
No.
It's a fractured world.
Kind of existing as much in memory and belief as in any physical form.
It's pretty mind-bending.
It really is.
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
If Alk is woven from stories, then as long as those stories are like remembered and believed in, it can never truly be destroyed. It exists in a different form.
Perhaps even more powerful. Because it resides in the hearts and minds of those who carry it.
Of course, wherever there's a hero on a quest, there's a villain lurking in the shadows.
Always.
How does King Cotton factor into this new landscape?
Well, he's still a major threat, even without like a physical world to dominate. You know, Cotton understands the power of belief, and he's using it to manipulate events from the shadows. Sowing chaos and discord.
I'm picturing him as this like puppet master. Pulling strings, whispering doubts into people's ears. He's like the embodiment of negativity and fear. Preying on vulnerabilities.
He is.
What are the like specific challenges that Tristan faces this time?
Well, he's fighting like a shadow war. One that's not always visible. You know, it requires like a different kind of strength and awareness. Tristan has to learn to trust his instincts, to see beyond the surface, and to confront enemies who can shift and hide in plain sight.
He does have allies, though.
He does.
The Rolling Thunder returns.
Embodying that
spirit of community that we talked about earlier.
They're more than just allies. You know, they're a symbol of hope. The Rolling Thunder represents like the next generation carrying the torch of resistance and, you know, demonstrating the power of collective action.
What about Anansi? We left him heartbroken.
We did.
After the destruction of Alki.
Anansi is, he's a fascinating character in this book. You know, he's consumed by grief and guilt over the loss of his son, Junior. It's a powerful reminder that, you know, even gods experience pain and make mistakes.
It adds a layer of like complexity to this, you know, mythological figure. He's not just a trickster god anymore. He's a grieving father. Grappling with loss and failure.
Makes him relatable.
It does. We've all experienced those moments of self-doubt.
Absolutely.
Wondering if we could have done things differently.
Exactly.
Anansi's struggles highlight like the universality of those emotions.
They really do.
And his vulnerability makes his connection with Tristan even more powerful.
It does, because they're both hurting. Both trying to find their way through the darkness.
Does Tristan ever find Junior?
He does. And their reunion is like a pivotal moment in the book. you know? It speaks to Tristan's, like, unwavering loyalty and his growth as a leader. He doesn't give up on those he cares about, even when faced with, like, overwhelming odds.
Speaking of unsettling characters, what about Patty Roller?
Oh, Patty Roller.
She returns.
She does.
And I'm curious to know more about her motivations.
Well, we get like a glimpse into her past, revealing how trauma and, you know, this thirst for control have kind of shaped her into the villain she is today. It's a reminder that villains are often created, not born.
It makes you consider, like, the systems that create and perpetuate these cycles of, like, pain and abuse.
And those lessons she forces on children, they're truly chilling. You know, highlighting like the ways in which power can be used to manipulate and exploit.
It's a dark but important theme.
It is.
That Mbalia doesn't shy away from.
No, he doesn't.
He prompts us to think critically about the ways in which, like, power dynamics can be abused. Especially when it comes to, you know, vulnerable individuals.
For sure.
And what about the redliners?
Oh, the redliners.
What role do they play in this second book?
Well, they become more prominent. You know, showcasing how prejudice and fear can be manipulated by those seeking to, you know, maintain control. They represent, like, the danger of misinformation and, you know, the ways in which it can be used to divide communities, create conflict.
It's a chilling reminder of how these dynamics, like, play out in the real world, where fear and hatred are often exploited for, like, political or social gain. It's a reminder that we need to be, like, vigilant in recognizing and challenging those narratives.
Absolutely. We can't just passively accept the stories we're told. We need to question them, analyze their origins. You know, consider the potential for, like, manipulation or bias.
So, of course, another confrontation with King Cotton is inevitable.
Here we go again.
It all leads to this epic battle.
Big battle.
On the shores of Lake Michigan.
Think about, like, the symbolism of that location, like a place of, like, beauty and tranquility becomes a battleground for, like, the fate of both the magical and human worlds. It's a stark reminder that even in, like, the most unexpected places, conflict can erupt.
And it's not just Tristan fighting this battle.
No.
It's the Alkean gods, the Rolling Thunder, all those who have been impacted by Cotton's actions. It's a testament to the power of community and collective action.
It is.
What are, like, some key moments that stand out to you from this final showdown?
Well, John Henry's raw strength and determination are on full display. Granny Z's, you know, wisdom and strategic thinking guide their actions. And Anansi, despite his grief, shows moments of brilliance and cunning. But it's Tristan's growth that truly shines.
How so?
Well, he finally taps into it, like a deeper understanding of his shadow magic, harnessing the power of stories and the strength of his community to face Cotton. You know, it's a powerful culmination of his journey, showcasing how he's embraced his role as an Anansism and a leader.
It sounds like this battle isn't just about, like, defeating an enemy. It's about Tristan, like, coming into his own.
It is.
So is this the end of King Cotton?
Well,
like, does good finally triumph over evil?
The outcome is both satisfying and thought-provoking, you know? Mbalia doesn't give us a simple answer. There's, like, a sense of resolution, but also an understanding that the battle for good is ongoing.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Tristan Strong's world. We left off with this pretty intense battle. On the shores of Lake Michigan. This clash that brought the magical and the human worlds together.
It did.
In a way I don't think anyone expected.
And it's, like, the aftermath of that battle that I find particularly fascinating. You know, there's this, like, wave of relief, but also this, like, lingering sense of unease. Remember, Cotton hinted at a return.
He did.
Suggesting he could, like, find these new sources of power, So while the immediate threat might be gone, the possibility of his resurgence, it kind of adds this, like, layer of tension to everything.
It's like that feeling you get after a bad storm, Like, the sky might be clear, but you're still a little bit wary weary, wondering if it's truly over.
Exactly.
What does this uncertainty mean for Tristan and the Alkean gods?
Well, it means they're in this, like, state of limbo.
Okay.
There's this need to, like, rebuild and heal.
Right.
But they can't afford to let their guard down completely.
Right. They need to be prepared.
They do.
For whatever Cotton might, like, throw at them next.
Exactly. And on a practical level, there's, the issue of, like, the Alkean refugees
Right.
who are, like, scattered throughout the human world.
Right. They're navigating, like,
They are.
a new environment.
A new culture, trying to find their place in a world that doesn't quite, understand them.
This theme of displacement really resonated with me.
Oh, me too.
Imagine being, like, ripped from your home, your source of power, and thrust into this world that views you with suspicion, even fear.
It's tough, Even the Alkean gods, stripped of their, like, familiar surroundings, have to rely on, Tristan and their human allies for protection and guidance.
And isn't there also this, like, underlying tension?
There is.
Between the, like, human and Alkean worlds. Not everyone is thrilled about having, these magical beings in their midst.
We see how, fear and prejudice can create conflict and distrust.
Yeah.
The redliners, for example, fueled by, like, their anxieties and, manipulated by Cotton's whispers, pose a constant threat.
Their actions are a reminder that even though, like, the magical battles might be over, the fight for, like, acceptance and understanding is far from won.
It's like Mbalia saying that the real battle isn't just against, like, a villain like Cotton, right?
Right.
It's against the prejudice and fear that allows figures like him to thrive.
So amidst all this, like, uncertainty and tension, what happened to Tristan?
Right.
He's been through so much.
Yes.
Lost so much.
So much.
How does he cope with the aftermath of these, like, incredible events?
Well, we see Tristan, grappling with the trauma of losing Alke, the burden of, like, responsibility, the constant threat of danger.
Right. It's realistic, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Even after a victory.
Yeah.
There are scars that, like, remain.
It reminds me of how, like, we often focus on the big battles,
Right. The external conflicts.
External conflicts,
But forget about the internal struggles that linger long after the dust settles.
Yeah, exactly.
What helps Tristan navigate these challenges?
Well, his relationships are crucial.
Okay.
His bond with Ayana and Thandi provides him with, like, this sense of normalcy, emotional support, and, his connection to Haijan the Conqueror continues to be, like, a source of strength, reminding him of, the power of stories, the importance of his role as an Anansesum.
It sounds like Tristan finds, like, solace in his human connections.
Yeah.
Whilst also drawing strength from, his Alkean heritage.
Right. He's bridging these two worlds in a way that, few others can.
And through it all, he never loses sight, of his mission to, like, help the Alkean refugees find their place in this new world.
He becomes, like, this symbol of hope, a reminder that even amidst, chaos and uncertainty, we can find ways to rebuild and create a better future.
It's a powerful message.
It really is.
And one that I think resonates with, like, anyone who's ever felt lost, displaced,
or uncertain about their place in the world.
Yeah. It's a reminder that we're not alone.
Right.
And that even in, like, the darkest of times, there's always hope.
And speaking of hope,
yeah,
one of the, like, most heartwarming aspects of this book is the emphasis on, like, community and, the power of coming together to face adversity.
We see this through the Alpine refugees,
right?
Finding refuge on Mami Wada's, like, magical steamship, the River Queen.
The River Queen, right. It becomes, like, this symbol of resilience, a floating haven where they can, support each other and preserve their culture.
I love that imagery. It's like this beacon of hope, a reminder that even when everything seems lost, there's still, like, a place where you can belong.
And Tristan, with his, unique connection to both the human and Alkean worlds, plays a vital role in, like, fostering that sense of community.
He becomes a bridge.
He does.
Between these two worlds.
Right, helping them understand each other, overcome their differences, and, work together to face the challenges that lie ahead.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
Of, like, unity.
Unity,
And the importance of embracing diversity.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that, like, the fight for good isn't always about defeating a villain. Sometimes it's about creating spaces where people feel,
Safe,
supported, and empowered to be themselves.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And ultimately, that's what makes, like, the Tristan Strong trilogy so compelling.
Yeah.
It's a story about, finding your voice, embracing your heritage, and fighting for what you believe in.
Yes.
Even when the odds seem, like, stacked against you.
Even then.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive.
Sounds good.
We've explored this, captivating world of Alk, the complex characters who inhabit it, and the powerful themes that, run throughout the series.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as I have.
Me too.
And for anyone listening who's been on this deep dive with us, I encourage you to, revisit the Tristan Strong trilogy.
Yes.
Or dive into it for the first time.
It's a great series.
It's a story that will stay with you long after you finish the last page.
For sure.
And remember, never underestimate the power of a good story.
Never.
To challenge our perceptions, inspire hope, and remind us of our shared humanity.
So well said.
Happy reading.
Happy reading.